Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bird Notice. Billy here. Leading off, Colton Cowser is named American League Player of the Week. Kyle Bradish makes 2 rehab starts. And Tyler Wells is placed on the injured list. But Ryan, what episode number is this?
This is episode 40, which was won by Rick Sutcliffe in his 2 seasons with the O's, which preceded a year in St. Louis before he retired at the age of 38. Sutcliffe was drafted by the Dodgers in the first round of the '74 draft. In 1979, he was the NL Rookie of the Year, going 17-10 with a 3.46 ERA in 242 innings for the Dodgers. He threw only 157 innings over the next 2 seasons with LA before being traded to Cleveland for a package that yielded a very small amount of future value for the Dodgers. Sutcliffe led the AL with a 2.96 ERA in 1982, starting 27 games with a 14-8 record and finishing 5th in Cy Young voting. He was an All-Star the following season with Cleveland, but was traded to the Cubs in June of 1984 for Joe Carter, Mel Hall, and Don Schultz. Despite 15 mediocre starts before the trade, Sutcliffe won the 1984 NL Cy Young Award for the Cubs, going 16-1 with a 2.69 ERA after the trade. Sutcliffe played 8 of his 18 seasons with the Cubs, appearing in 2 All-Star games and finishing second in Cy Young voting in 1987 when he led the league with 18 wins. He missed large portions of the 1990 and 91 seasons and signed with the O's for 1992. Sutcliffe, of course, started the first game at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, throwing a complete game 5-hit shutout in a 2-0 victory over Cleveland. He made 64 starts across 2 seasons with the O's, going 26-25 with an even 5.0 ERA. Sutcliffe finished his career with the Cardinals in '94, defeating the Cubs at Wrigley Field in perhaps the best start of his final season, and has had a long broadcasting career. Do you have a different number 40?
I ended up watching part of the first ever night game at Wrigley Field though this week. It was on Marquee Sports on Fubo during a
Fubo?
Cubs rain delay, and that made me realize that Sutcliffe started the first night game at Wrigley Field, which was a rain out and it wasn't official, and the first Orioles game at Camden Yards. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. First night game at like one of the most historic, and then the first game at the New Wave.
Yeah. He's had a great career. I remember finding a starting lineup action figure in my parents' guest room closet when I was a kid that was supposed to be a Christmas present of Rick
Sutcliffe?
Yeah. And I went and wrote it down in a notebook, like Rick Sutcliffe starting lineup in guest room closet.
In
like
case
a
you
real
forgot.
psychopath. Yeah.
Well, while we're still talking about it, I have 2 fun facts that I wrote down. One is that he was a decent hitter for a pitcher. He hit a home run in Game 1 of the 1984 NLCS. The second is that on July 29th, 1988, Sutcliffe was on third base when the pitcher caught Mitch Webster off first. Sutcliffe took off, and the throw home ended up in the Cubs' dugout, and he was credited with stealing home.
Ooh,
Oh.
nice.
2 fun facts about Rick Sutcliffe.
I do kind of miss the pitcher's hitting. I don't want to admit that out loud, but I don't know. It was fun sometimes.
That makes one of us.
But yeah, my number 40 is Dave Crichton. He wore the number 40 in 1977 and was the last to do so until Rick Sutcliffe. He was drafted in the 5th round of the 1969 draft by the Washington Senators out of Dunkirk High School in Dunkirk, New York. He's traded to the Orioles on December 15th, 1976 for pitcher Bob Babcock. Crichton was a catcher who was recalled from Rochester when Rick Dempsey broke his finger and made his major league debut on July 17th, 1977. He'd make his last major league appearance 14 days later on July 31st, 1977. But on July 25th, in a game against the Brewers that is tied 3-3, he enters the game as a defensive replacement. And Crichton has the highlight of his career because he takes a 1-out, 1-2 pitch from Sam Hines deep to walk it off in the bottom of the 11th for his only career home run. He finishes career batting average at 333, going 3 for 9 with the home run and 1 RBI. He was a 1973 Eastern League All Star. His brother Mike was a Dodgers draft pick out of Syracuse. And after Dave's playing career, he later went on to be a longtime coach of the SUNY Fredonia Blue Devils, a Division III college baseball team near Buffalo, alongside his brother Pete, who he'd later join in the Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame.
I was not expecting that last reference to SUNY Fredonia. That's my dad played baseball there for I think a year or two.
Whoa.
And that's like the family school for my family. My parents met there. A bunch of my aunts and uncles and cousins went there. So SUNY Fredonia. I was not expecting you to mention that. That's very funny.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Has he ever been to the Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame, your dad?
I would guess not, but I can ask him.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you can go this week.
Yeah. I remember when I was a little kid, my parents told me their college was called the Blue Devils because it was SUNY Fredonia. And I bought a Duke Blue Devils pennant to hang in my room because I was like, oh, that's my parents' college. They're called the Blue Devils too.
Yeah, same difference.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, Dave Crishone.
That is a deep cut taking a guy who went 3 for 9 in his major league career.
Yeah, he had a Sabre page, and it told the whole story of his walk-off home run.
That's what I love about that website, man. They will have write-ups on the most random dudes and then nothing for Rick Sutcliffe.
I got a good segue here, too, because I think we had the modern-day Dave Crishone in David Ben Wallace. He joined the Orioles this week.
David Ben Wallace? Like the power forward? Is that how you said it?
Yeah, but that's how Kevin Brown said it.
David Ben Wallace.
I kind of stepped in it this week again on Twitter because I was joking around and I said, should I buy a David Ben Wallace jersey? And I put out a poll and I made the options YOLO and why. And YOLO won the poll with 72%. So then I felt obligated to buy a David Ben Wallace jersey. So I did. I ordered it from dhgate.com, which is like the Chinese Amazon, for $30.
Okay. I mean, I guess you're only out $30.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to check out DHgate, and I don't know. As much as I love like Gunnar Henderson and Adley, I don't really want one of their jerseys. I don't know why. They're nice jerseys, but
I get it. You don't want one that like everyone else has. I feel the same way sometimes.
Right, and then this Ben Wallace jersey, or however you say his name, is that's timeless. Like, it can never go out of date because it was never in date.
That's true. I'm gonna look up what Baseball Reference says for the actual pronunciation because there's definitely not Ben Wallace. But I do like that.
I thought I wrote it down.
It's Banuelos.
Banuelos. Yes, I thought I wrote that down. What game did he play on this week? Was he in the first game?
Yeah, I don't know.
Ben Wallace. That's what I'm calling him from now.
I just think of that power forward on Detroit who I believe won an NBA title.
Yeah, he was a badass.
Oh, yeah. He was like a defensive rebounding machine. He played in the April 16th game with an 11-3 victory over Minnesota.
Where is it at? I could have sworn I wrote down the pronunciation of his name, but he's 27 years old. He had no prior major league experience. He was drafted 153rd overall in the 5th round by Seattle. The Mariners traded him to the Twins on December 6, 2017 for $1 million in international signing bonus money. And the Mariners wanted to use that to try and sign Ohtani, who was coming over from Japan at the time. And the Orioles signed him on December 21st, 2023, just this past offseason. I must have missed it because I was covering these dumb low-end roster moves this offseason. And I don't remember seeing his name come across.
You probably saw Ben Wallace, and you're like, oh, that has to be an error. The Orioles didn't sign a retired basketball player.
But do you think we'll see him again this year? I haven't seen if he cleared waivers or not. He got DFA'd
he did.
The next day.
I saw that he cleared. Yeah, why not? I don't know. You'd have to think eventually Agley or Rutschman. That's the same guy. Hagley or McCann will, I don't know, get a bruised shin or some goofy thing that'll have him out for a game or two.
So, full disclosure for anybody listening, we're both a little punchy for separate travel issues this week. So, so if I'm saying Ben Wallace and he's saying Adley or Rutschman, like this is why. I had like 3 hours sleep last night.
Yeah, I think I got you beat by like 2 hours.
And Levon Soto, he got DFA'd again. He's having quite the journey.
Cincinnati this time?
Did he get claimed?
Yeah, I think the Reds took him.
Ah, that stinks. All right, so R.I.P. Levon Soto. And let's see, Albert Suarez got recalled when Banuelos got DFA'd.
Oh, yeah. We'll be talking about him.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about him. Former Oriole and 2010 Hall of Fame inductee Whitey Herzog passed away. We covered him sometime over the winter, I think.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear that, just dig through our archives. It's in there somewhere.
We won't tell you where it is because we don't know either.
Tony Kemp signed a minor league contract with the Twins.
That's kind of surprising to me. I guess the Twins have a lot of injuries, but I thought he'd go to a crappier team than that with a better chance of playing.
Yeah, the White Sox could use him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I wonder if he declined the assignment because he knew he'd be behind just Holliday, Mateo, Westberg, Urias, Norby. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be behind a lot of guys.
Tyler Wells, elbow inflammation. Oh, here's my Ben Wallace pronunciation. I wrote it down, Ben Wallace. So I was wrong either way.
I mean, that's closer than Ben Wallace, but I genuinely like that you called him that. I think that's funny. It's cool.
Since these jerseys are so cheap on DHgate, I should just make a Ben Wallace Orioles jersey.
Well, speaking of Ben Wallace, we should both just get a Grant Hill Pistons jersey.
Ooh,
he's
that's
an owner
awesome
now.
Idea. What number did he wear?
I believe 33 was his number.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But how concerned are you on Tyler Wells' elbow inflammation on a scale of 1 to 10?
If it explains why he was bad, then maybe it's a good thing he's going on the IL for a bit. But concern level, maybe a 5.
That's what I was gonna say, 5. I want him in the bullpen though. That's where I want to see Tyler Wells when he comes back.
Hey, if Albert Suarez keeps pitching that way, then Wells doesn't deserve a spot back in the rotation.
Speaking of guys returning to the rotation, we might as well get into Bradish and Means' rehab starts.
Yeah, they went pretty differently, I think, huh?
Yeah, Bradish made 2 starts. He had one earlier this week in Bowie and one today with the Tides. And then I got excited because, if my math is correct, Bradish's next rehab start should be with the Tides. And I would think it would be on Friday. And I was like, oh, cool, I can go. Then I remember the Admirals are in the playoffs. I already have playoff tickets. So,
bummer.
Yeah.
Maybe the hockey game will get rained out. You can go see baseball instead. Okay.
But, yeah, Bradish, his first start was good. 3 innings pitched, 1 hit, no walks, 4K, 44 pitches. Today was a mixed bag, but I think the most important thing was the 64 pitches, 37 strikes.
I actually didn't see at all how he did today. Do you have any more stats?
3 1/3, 6 hits, 4 runs, 1 home run allowed, 4 strikeouts, and then 3 walks.
So yeah, not great, but man, I just still, every time I see him go out there, I just hope more and more that I'm wrong about him this year.
When I was trying to paint today's numbers in a positive light, I was thinking if you would have asked us a month ago the over-under on pitches Bradish would throw this season, if the over-under was 1, we both might take the under.
Right.
So, yeah, in that case, let's go. 64 pitches is great.
Yeah. And then Means, on the other hand, Bradish might surpass Means.
Yeah, I have a lot to say on this, I think, but I keep seeing people say things like, this is John Means' spring training and rehab starts don't matter. And I get that to some extent, but I was already out on Means before these bad rehab starts. So I don't think I'm overreacting when I say like, oh no.
Yeah, I was the opposite. I was very optimistic about Means, but I'm starting to come over to the dark side where you are because yes, it's still technically kind of spring training for him, but the results are not good. And I think if Means was pitching like this in regular spring training and wasn't injured in the offseason, people would also be worried about him.
And what makes this so dire is the lack of things they can do to pivot with him once his 30 days are up. He's out of options, so you have to DFA him if you want him to pitch more in Norfolk. That's not happening because 25 other teams are going to claim him, especially with all the pitching injuries now. And the other option is he goes back on the injured list, which, I mean, he's not going to want to do if he's healthy. And I think the Orioles would give him the benefit of the doubt and defer to him if he's still having these shitty rehab performances. I think they would put him on the roster, much like they did to Michael Givens last year. And then we'll see. Like the proof is in the pudding at that point. Once you're on the major league roster, you can't hide. And we saw right away, I think Michael Givens had 3 appearances before he turned into a pumpkin.
Right. So you're saying maybe they put him up and give him a start or two, or even like a long relief appearance or two, and then if he sucks, say he's injured again, try again.
Yeah, because they can't DFA him. It's not happening. That would be a stunner. That would be an absolute stunner.
No, I mean without seeing, I don't see them doing that without even seeing how he'll do against major league competition.
Right. Yeah, 100%. His line from Tuesday was 1/3 of an inning, 5 hits, 5 earned, 1 walk, 2 home runs allowed. I saw on Twitter that the one out he did get, it was described as a piss missile to center field. Yeah, I don't know. I was already skeptical, like I said. Like I had deemed him officially unreliable. When we were doing over-unders, I said I would be surprised if he got to 15 starts this season. Yeah, I'm just as concerned now as I was then, if not more. Like I never had much confidence in him because he made 4 starts in 24 months, and he's made more minor league starts in the last 2 seasons than he has major league starts on rehabs.
Right. Yeah, it is funny how he can go from the best pitcher on a mediocre team to suddenly just not even there when they're good. And you wish he was there and helping out and being part of it, but you can't. When you're the Orioles this year, you can't be putting out a guy that you don't think gives you a chance to win a game.
And one thing I found concerning from his starts was the amount of balls he was throwing. And this is where I don't know baseball is and if you are considering this his spring training or his, rehab starts, is he throwing more balls because he's just trying to work on pitches and build up strength, or is he throwing more balls because he's afraid if he throws over the plate, it's going to get just smashed?
Or I think the third option is he throwing balls because he is trying to
Can't.
throw it over the plate and just can't right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to those.
I'd say he has one more start in the minors left, maybe 2. It seems like he's been down there for a while now. If he's made 4, that would put him at like 20 days, right? So he's probably at like
Sure.
23
That sounds
days
about right.
now. Yeah. So hold your nose. John Means might be coming.
Yeah. We'll see. Hope for the best.
Yeah, you ready to get into some game recaps?
So the beginning of the week, the Orioles played Minnesota, who was 6-8 coming into this series. Last year, they won the AL Central with an 87-75 record and lost to Houston in the division series. They already had several injuries before this series, missing the likes of Carlos Correa, Max Kepler, and Royce Lewis. In the offseason, they lost Sonny Gray and traded Jorge Polanco, while they added Anthony DeSclafani and a few lesser veterans. But DeSclafani joins that injured crew that I just mentioned and won't pitch at all this season. So things in Minnesota are not going great right now, and the Orioles didn't help them out much, I guess.
Yeah, the Orioles. They got the Twins at a good time, especially like you said, Correa's out, and yeah, the Twins look just there's nothing there. It seems like.
Yeah, kind of lifeless.
So I guess we'll pick this up. Louis Varland versus Cole Irvin, top of the first, 2 outs and a run on third. Uh, Cedric Mullins goes full Superman, made an incredible catch.
Yeah, that was outstanding. Going back to would be his right. Did you see? Apparently, the BBC has like a sports division that picked it up and put it on Twitter, and there were all these British people were chiming in like, "Oh, that happens in cricket all the time. It's not that big of a deal."
I heard about this on the Baseball Barbercast, and all the cricket fans were saying like, we do this all the time in cricket, no glove. What? Tell him to do this without a glove."
Right. Yeah, I don't know if that's true. I mean, my first reaction is like, no, it was definitely way cooler than any catch you see in cricket, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever watch a game of cricket. I heard they take like days to play.
I think there's different types of matches. I think some of
Okay.
them take forever and some of them don't. But don't quote me on that because I also know nothing.
So bottom of the first now, Rutschman 1 out single. O'Hearn first pitch swinging. He hits a double play ball that Julian muffs at second base. The Orioles are getting so much advantage on other teams' poor defense this season. It's every game, all through the Royal season or series this weekend too was just piss poor defense. Um, but yeah, this pays off. Mountcastle single, so the bases are loaded, 1 out for the Milkman. The Heat strikeout swinging. Westberg is up. Westberg leads the majors with the highest slugging percentage with runners in scoring position at 952. And behind him was William Contreras, who we just saw with the Brewers at 913. So he's killing it at slugging percentage with runners in scoring position.
Mm-hmm.
0-2 count. He hits his fourth double of the season, and the Orioles are up 2-0.
Yeah, I like that too. That was just a double, like a grounder through the infield. That it wasn't like down the line, and it still went for a double. That's how hard he hit it.
Yeah, it's crazy. The Kowser and Westberg in the 7th and 8th slot in the lineup it's crazy.
Right. No, they've been excellent, and it's fun. The Twins got one back in the second on a solo home run by Jose Miranda, who we may have covered this before, is the cousin of Lin-Manuel Miranda, the Hamilton guy.
I did not know that. No.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not doing a Billy and just making up a fake relation.
Bottom of the third, O'Hearn, he leads off the inning. He took one 435 feet deep, his second home run in 2 games. That helps my Dong Notice team, which we should probably get into soon. Second home run in 2 games for O'Hearn. But this revealed I've seen referred to as Dongzilla.
Yeah, the unveiling of they like overcorrected. They went away from the dong bong and the sprinkler and all that in the beginning of the season, and now they're just going extra hard into it. So I think it's fun.
Yeah, this thing, it looks like a god. Ben McDonald said it looks like an udder, which I was thinking too when he said it. The four players can drink out of it at once. We saw that happen this week. Yeah,
It looks like a religious idol, like up on a mantle that you go drink from during some home run ceremony.
Or like a scientist made it in a lab. It's impressive. It's really impressive. The evolution of the dong bong.
Yes. In the fourth inning, the Twins got back within 2 on another RBI by Miranda. This time a single to score Byron Buxton, who had doubled to lead off the inning, and it was 4-2 Orioles.
Bottom 5, Mullins gets one inside the foul pole for his 4th home run of the season, which tied him at 4 with Santander and Kowser. And Westberg was on base, so he joined Mullins, and they were all drinking out of the dong bong.
After that, Gunnar Henderson made it 7-2 when he led off the 6th inning with a solo home run.
Top 7, Keegan Aikens in. He allows a single and a double, which brought in Cano. Cano gave up a 2-run, 2-out double to Jeffers. Jeffers is really good. He's a bright spot on the Twins.
Yeah,
Those
he hit well.
Yeah, those runs were charged to Aiken, and this is where we get our 7-4 final Orioles victory.
Yeah, that was Aiken's first rough outing of the season. He would have at least one more before the week was over, but otherwise, Craig Kimbrel got his fourth save with 2 strikeouts in the ninth, and the O's, despite a short outing from Irvin, it wasn't that bad overall. We're able to get the victory.
Yeah, I did give out 3 stars. The third star was to Craig Kimbrel. 2 strikeouts, 13 pitches, 10 strike, 4 save, like you said. This was the first time in his Baltimore career he had back-to-back saves in games. Number 2, Mullins for the catch, set the tone for the game.
And a
On a
homer.
home run, 3 RBI. On a normal day, Mullins would have been the number 1 star, but this day belonged to Jackie Robinson, number 1 star. It was Jackie Robinson Day.
There you go. I approve.
Yeah, all the players wore number 42. And that
I
brought
like
us
that they do the
to
blue numbers too, no matter your team color. I think that's a cool touch.
yeah, the Dodgers like uniform
Right.
number. But
So
yeah, game
Tuesday,
game 17, April 16th.
yeah, this was Grayson Rodriguez on the mound against Chris Paddock, who I frankly kind of forgot about because he was good in San Diego a few years ago, and then he popped up here, and it was like, oh yeah, that's a guy that plays baseball.
Yeah, I did my own math here. It's only his 11th start since 2022.
Jeez. Well, I don't know how many more he'll get after this, but
Yeah, bottom 2, Cowser, he reached base on a single. He'd score on a ball that McCown hits for a double to right. That Margot would misplay. Next batter, Gunnar Henderson comes up and he hits one to the flag court, and it's 3-0 Orioles.
the O's added 4 more runs in the third when O'Hearn and Mullins singled. Cowser grounded out to score O'Hearn, and then Westberg followed with a 2-run homer, and it was now 6-0. After that, Holliday walked and advanced the second on a McCann single. Then Gunnar Henderson singled to score Jackson Holliday, and it was now 7-0 Orioles.
Top of the fourth, the Twins picked up a run because Holliday messed up an easy double play ball. That made it 7-1 Orioles. And then in the bottom of the fourth, they get it back when Santander would single and score on. He was driven in by Cowser, 8-1 Orioles.
You know, real quick, I don't care that much about stats, but it kind of sucked for Grayson that ball hit to Holliday ended up in technically an earned run for him because it should have been an easy double play and it just wasn't. But because they still got an out, it wasn't an error. But that's all.
Yeah, that was the only reason why I noted it, not to like pick on Holliday or anything.
Right. No, I would
It's
have
just
said that either way. So
it's just a run that didn't need to happen.
exactly. Minnesota scored once more in the sixth in Rodriguez's final inning when Ryan Jeffers doubled and Alex Kirilloff singled to score him.
And we're in the bottom of the sixth, and somehow Paddock is still pitching.
He did eat innings that game. You got to give him credit for that.
Yeah. Adley leadoff single, and Santander would bring him home. Now it's 9-2 Orioles.
And the top of the eighth, the O's got their final 2 runs of the game when Jay Jackson walked Rutschman, and then O'Hearn hit a home run to center field that was challenged for fan interference but was upheld, and it was 11-2 Orioles.
Yeah, that was an incredible effort by Buxton. He's fun to watch.
He seems healthy, which is good, and he's one of those players though that like every time he does anything, I just assume he's going to be injured.
Yeah, you just hold your breath if you're a Twins fan anytime he gets near the wall, probably.
Gets near the wall, runs hard, slides, fouls the ball off himself. You're always worried he's going to get hurt.
That O'Hearn home run won $1,500 for Gloria Massey from Lanham, Maryland, and gave the 11-2 final. Oh, no, that wasn't the final because Bauman had to allow his contractually obligated run to score in the ninth.
Yes, it was 11-3, but overall, a pretty decisive, rather easy victory for the O's as far as those are concerned. So, good start to the series.
Yeah, O's were 5 for 12 with runners in scoring position, and they are 9-1 when they record 8 or more hits. Which this lineup they should get. It seems like when I'm looking at their box score now, almost everybody gets a hit every game now.
Yeah,
You
that's
just
good.
Yeah, it's nuts. Number 3 star, dogs. Who doesn't love dogs? There was a lot of them in attendance. It was the Bark in the Park promotion. Number 2, Johan Ramirez. I thought he was great. He really got my hopes up with this performance. 1 2/3, and Brandon Hyde looked very happy with him when he came to get him out of the game. And number 1 star, with too many to choose from, I went with Ryan O'Hearn, mainly for his post game interview, where he said he was going to go full George Brett if his home run was overturned.
Right.
He said Hyde gave him permission, which is that's why the players love
Which
him.
means they talked about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just since Rodriguez wasn't a 3 star, so just so we mentioned his stat line, he went 6 innings, allowed 2 earned runs, 4 hits, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. So another very, very good outing from Rodriguez, who's been, really kind of neck and neck with Burns, if you ask me, so far this year, which is an awesome thing to say.
Yeah, that's on me for not giving him a star, but at the same time, it shows where he's at now, where he makes very good performances look so easy that they're almost unnoticeable.
Yeah, no, he's been very consistent so far this year, which is great.
What day is April 17th? Was that
It
Wednesday?
was Wednesday.
Pablo Lopez versus our boy Albert Suarez.
Yes, Albert Suarez making his first major league start since 2016 and first major league appearance since 2017. So this is a long time coming for him, and it was fun to watch.
If I weren't holding the microphone right now, I did have the instinct to clap when you said first start since 2017. Like, that's awesome. Who
Yeah,
doesn't like that?
that is very cool.
Bottom of the first, Gunnar hit his fourth career leadoff home run. This was his third straight game with a home run, and it also extended his hitting streak to 5 games.
The only bad part about that is that was the first of 2 hits that Pablo Lopez would give up the whole game. I shouldn't say the whole game, his entire time in the game, the other being a Westberg infield single. However, Albert Suarez was up to the task, giving up just 2 doubles and a single through 5 2/3, but nobody advanced past second base.
Then we get to the top of the seventh. Coulomb is in after relieving Suarez, and this inning could have been worse. One run is charged to Coulomb, another to Jacob Webb before Keegan Aiken of all people comes in and puts out the fire. Um, yeah, so it's 2-1 Twins going into the bottom of the seventh.
And in the seventh, the O's tied the game off of Steven Okert. After Austin Hayes flew out, Santander went deep to left center, right by Mr. Splash, and that tied the game at 2.
Mountcastle 1 out single, bringing up Mullins, and Kevin Brown mentioned that Mullins had never had a walk-off home run before.
Yeah, and then, basically as he was saying it, Mullins hit one, right?
Yeah, and then they had the hydration station waiting for him at home plate.
Yeah, that was a fun game. I mean, just this was a radio game for me. I listened to literally the entire thing on the radio, which I don't know if I've ever done in my life. No joke. But I enjoyed it. And the play-by-play in color for the Orioles allowed me to kind of envision everything that happened. I went back and watched the highlights and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember them talking about that and that and that."
Yeah, that'd be fun. Just I never think to do that. How'd you listen to it, through the MLB app?
Just the app. Yeah, I went out to get some exercise and then I took my dog for a walk and then I decided to do some yard work and by the time I was done, the game was over. I was like, "Well, I guess listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, who's that? Brett Hollander and Melanie Newman.
Jeff Arnold, I think. I think it was Jeff and Brett for the most part.
Okay. Yeah, 4-2 final. O's win, 3 stars. Pablo Lopez, after allowing the leadoff home run, he was filthy. Just 2 hits over 6 innings, 7 Ks. Number 2 star, Albert Suarez. His amazing rise from spring training. He kind of had like the Willie Mays Hayes spring training with the Orioles, where he just showed up and no one really knew who he was.
Right. But I mean, his stuff was good. The guy was throwing like 96. It's not like he was just some old dude who got by throwing junk. He was good. He looked legit.
I saw him pitch. In the Means rehab start, where Means only went an inning. Suarez came in to piggyback off him, and Suarez was great until he kind of ran out of gas, like in like the sixth or whatever. But he was
Okay.
just mowing them down before that.
Yeah.
But he went 5 2/3, 3 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts, 75 pitches, 50 strikes. Yeah, that's awesome. I hope he gets another start.
Yeah. Well, one thing to note is that if the O's want to send him back down, he'll have to go through waivers. And after that start, he's guaranteed to get picked up. So I hope he sticks around. And even if he doesn't keep starting, there's crappier guys in the bullpen like Bauman, who I think if they decide he shouldn't be in the rotation, he should be given a shot there too.
Yeah, if I had to define Bauman, I'd say he's out of benefit of the doubt. Like, there's no more benefit of the doubt with him, in my eyes.
Yeah, at this point, I think Bauman and Baker are kind of the same person.
Yeah,
And one's in AAA and the other's not. And there's really no difference between the two, if you ask me.
Heasley too.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah,
A
they just
lot of
throw
these
hard.
average white dudes all happen to be the same person.
And as an
Weird.
average white dude, we know when we see one.
Yes, exactly. I know I'm one of millions.
Number 1 star, Cedric Mullins. You get the walk off. You get a star.
Very good.
Oh, I do have some notes here. O's were 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position. In a
0
game,
for
they
1.
scored 4 runs.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's impressive.
That is.
The Twins were 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. This was the 5th straight game with at least 3 home runs for the Orioles, and only the 3rd time in team history they've had a streak that long. The other 2 times were 1986 and 1997. And I saw one more stat I thought was interesting. Is after this game for the season, the Orioles were batting .233 versus starting pitching and .293 off of relief pitchers.
That's interesting. It's like you get those guys who are only there for an inning and can let it all out, and they're getting hit by the O's.
Yeah, usually it's the other way around.
Right. Well, after that sweep of Minnesota, the O's faced another AL Central foe, but one that they just played. So I'm not going to give a preview for the Royals. However, they were 12-7 coming into the series, including 8-2 at home. And that brought us to the April 19th game, Thursday night, which pitted Dean Kramer against nemesis Alec Marsh.
Yeah, Alec Marsh, the guy who was 1-15 in Double-A like 2 years ago.
Yeah, sorry, I think I said Thursday. This was a Friday game. My fault.
Yeah, Thursday was an off day.
Yeah, Alec Marsh, I decided I hate that guy.
I don't hate the Royals as much as other Orioles fans, though. Even though I totally understand why other Orioles fans hate him so much, it's just I don't know. The Royals they're so bad for so long, and I don't know. When they won the World Series, like I hate the Mets. I really wanted to see them beat the Mets, which they did.
I don't really mind the team so much. Like, yeah, that series sucked, but the fact that Alec Marsh has beaten the Orioles twice in a month, like, nah.
Easily. Yeah, top one, a missed opportunity here. Runners on second and third. Gunnar gets picked off at third base. It's just totally short circuit the inning and pretty much a game.
Yeah, and A lot of O's fans on Twitter were complaining, like, "Oh, he was definitely safe. That was terrible." Like, I don't know how you can say he was definitely safe. To me, it looked like he was probably out, and at the very best, if you're an O's fan, it was like 50-50. But he was called out on the field, so I don't know what people expect.
Yeah, this is just part of like who Gunner is as a player. I think like to me, he's like a wild stallion, and this was just you know what I mean. Like some of his throws from like his throw to kill the cameraman last year, his throw in Pittsburgh, which wasn't his fault because it came on an amazing effort, but he's just like a young colt, you know, just racing around the racetrack. You got to get him to stay in the lane almost.
There you go. I like that analogy.
And then top four, another missed opportunity here. The O's loaded the bases with a leadoff Rutschman single. O'Hearn almost went deep before Santander and Mountcastle drew back-to-back walks on a combined 15 pitches, but Mullins would fly out and Kaiser would ground out to end the threat.
Yeah, and those last two at bats, Mullins swung at the first pitch, Kaiser swung at the second. So on 3 pitches, they got a weak fly out and a weak ground out to end that inning. That was just kind of the story of the night for the O's.
Yeah, those are two guys you want up with the bases loaded too.
Right. So the
Their
first
whole
scoring
lineup is now though. It's weird.
No, it's true. I mean, there are a couple guys who, when they're coming off the bench, might not be a huge threat, but when everyone's in there and everyone's healthy, 1 through 9, they're pretty dangerous.
Well, 1 through 8.
Well,
Holiday.
uh, I was like, wait, the pitcher doesn't bat? I see what you're doing there. Okay. Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, you got something for the bottom of the fourth.
Yeah, in the bottom of the fourth with 2 outs, Dean Kramer just threw an absolute meatball to Vinny Pasquantino, and he hit that ball out to right field in about half a second, and that was a solo home run that gave the Royals a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, they didn't bring back the Pasquatch this year. I haven't seen.
I haven't noticed, but I think if you see him, it means things aren't going well.
Yeah, that's true for the other team. Maybe it's on the Kansas City broadcast too.
True. Yeah, Masson's probably not going to be like, hey, look, Vinny just crushed one off Kramer. Let's go check out their celebration.
Bottom 6, the Orioles are still scoreless. Dean back-to-back 1-out walks. That brings up Salvador Perez to fly out. Hyde comes out for the Jiffy Lube pitching change. He brought in Keegan Aiken, and this was his worst performance of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Keegan Aiken became the Keegan Aiken of old in this game. He gave up a single to MJ Melendez that scored Bobby Witt, walked the next batter, gave up a single to Michael Massey that scored Pasquantino and Melendez, then gave up a double to Hunter Renfroe that scored Velasquez and Massey, and suddenly it was 6-0 Royals before a fly ball mercifully ended the 6th inning.
Yeah, I got 2 notes here. Basically, this is with the benefit of hindsight. You just wish he would have let Dean pitch to the next batter and try and get that third out.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, without knowing, why not? You know.
Right. And then remember Hunter Renfroe came up like 2 episodes ago, and I couldn't remember who he was teammates with, and it had something to do with the Orioles, college teammates with. It's just like 2 episodes ago.
I remember talking about him, but I don't remember that. But go ahead, let's hear it.
This is how he came up, and we ended up talking about the other Raiders wide receiver Renfroe.
Right.
It was because he was college teammates with Adam Frazier, and now they're teammates. But yeah, I knew it was in my brain for some reason. But.
Where was that? Mississippi State, I want to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Westberg went there too.
Yeah, he definitely did. Good program, I suppose. And then I texted you the other day that Will Clark, Rafael Palmeiro documentary was on. So Mississippi State baseball, very very solid.
The top of the 7th, missed opportunity here. Mike Lowry is in for the Royals. There's 3 straight singles by Mullins, pinch hitter Austin Hayes, and Jordan Westberg. Urias pinch hits for Holliday. He fouled out on 9 pitches. I kind of wish they would have let Holliday bat here. Why not? You know?
Yeah, I mean, putting Urias in for Holliday is kind of insulting to Holliday, to be honest.
Right. That's how I took it. And I love Urias, but like if if Holiday's in there and you're going to get him going, why take him out with the bases loaded?
Right. I agree.
But then Gunnar would strike out swinging on a full count, and things are looking bleak until Adley comes up. He hits his first career grand slam, 6-4, Kansas City.
So after that grand slam, the game was pretty close, but in the bottom of the seventh, the Royals broke it open again. Dylan Tate came in, and with 2 outs and Michael Garcia on third base, the wheels kind of fell off. He allowed a single to Salvador Perez, and then a 3-run shot to MJ Melendez. And suddenly that 6-4 game became a 9-4 game, and the Orioles were deep in the hole once more.
Yeah, that was our final. So the Royals would only strand 4. They were 4 for 9 with runners in scoring position. If you take out the Will Smith inning, the Royals pitching only allowed 4 hits in 8 innings.
Yeah, besides him, their pitching was really good again, and Alec Marsh, I think, is the Orioles' nemesis. And if I were an American League playoff contender, I might try to trade for Alec Marsh at the deadline.
The Royals might be a playoff contender, though.
You're not wrong. They could be. You never know.
Yeah, so we don't want to see Alec Marsh in the playoffs if it's a Royals-Orioles matchup.
No, definitely not.
I did half-ass some 3 stars here. Number 3, the Royal City Connects. That's one of like 6 City Connect uniforms I like.
Yes, I agree.
Number 2, the Adley Rutschman Grand Slam. Bree Brown on Twitter dubbed it Adleyheimer, which I thought was funny.
Okay.
And the number 1 star, Salvador Perez, for his genuine concern when Austin Hayes got hit in the head by a Nick Anderson breaking ball.
Man, Perez is still good. He's one of those old guys who like doesn't look like he can move, and he just keeps on hitting.
Yeah, he's Mr. Royal at this point, right?
I feel like he is at this point. Yeah, I don't know a guy in the last 30 years has spent more time there. I'm trying to think, maybe like Billy Butler was there a while, but I don't think nearly as long as him. The biggest Royal since like the 80s.
We should do that. Go around. Maybe in the off season we'll do a Mr. Everybody for each team.
I'm sure the fans of those teams will agree with like 5% of our choices.
Yeah. That brings us to Saturday, April 20th, game number 20. Corbin Burns versus Cole Reagans.
Yeah, this game was pretty interesting. Cole Reagans was very good against the O's for the most part in his first outing, and it was going to be a question of can the O's get a couple runs off him, because we figured Burns wouldn't really give up any, and this game turned out, I think, probably differently than most people envisioned.
This week, Burns was named number 3 on MLB.com, titled 10 off-season additions already paying off in a big way. Do you have a guess who the top 2 off-season additions who are paying off in a big way are?
I know Ohtani's doing well.
Yep, Ohtani. The other one's pretty easy, too. Big
No.
market.
Oh, Soto.
Yeah.
Soto. That makes sense.
But scary moment here in the bottom of the first when Burns took a liner off his arm before regrouping to throw out Garcia at first base.
Yeah, that was kind of an awkward play, but glad to see he stayed in the game. He's built like a house. I wouldn't mess with Corbin Burns. He's not one of those like tall, lanky guys. He's thick.
This was his first scoreless first inning of the season. I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
But yeah, when they tried to show concern for the ball that hit him, he just waved him off. He was like, "Get out of here. I'm fine. Leave me alone. I got pitching to do." Then in the top of the second, Jordan Westburg would get the party started, leadoff single. He's 12 for 32 on the season with 2 strikes.
Just crazy. I mean, the guy just has ice in his veins so far. Is that just how he always is? Was he like that in the minors too?
Yeah, he was very good with the Tides, like very solid. Yeah, he's not flashy, he's not exciting. He just keeps showing up and kicking ass. He's almost like He's almost like the team bouncer, I'd say.
Right, he does. He shows very little emotion, and which I'm not saying is good or bad. It's just how he is, and but he just goes out and performs while just doing his thing and not getting too high or low. It seems like.
Yeah, and he's good anywhere you stick him in the lineup. He's just solid.
Right.
Urias, he would hit a 1-out RBI double down the third base line that would score Westberg. McCann would drive in Urias with a single. All three of these hits were with 2 strikes and 2 outs. And that brought up the top of the order as Gunnar would hit a first pitch single, and then Rutschman would plate McCann with another single. So now it's 3-0, and they're just making Cole Reagan's work this inning.
Yeah. With 2 outs, the O's had 4 singles, and a double. So after Mountcastle, Santander doubled to score Rutschman. Mountcastle moved to third. Westberg comes back up because they batted around. He singles to center. Mountcastle and Santander score, and that ended Cole Reagan's night after just 1 2/3.
6 2-strike hits in the inning, and they forced Reagan to throw 48 pitches, and he only got 2 outs on those 48 pitches. So 7-0, and you're hoping Orioles don't really have anything to worry about for the rest of the game with Burns on the mound.
Right. At this point, if you're an O's fan, you're like, all right, I think we like 95% have this one locked down.
Which took us to the bottom of the 6th. Burns would allow a double and a walk, so there's 2 on and 2 out for Salvador Perez, and he'd homer to make it 7-3. And this would get Hyde out to turn this game over to the bullpen.
Yeah, Danny Coulomb came in, got MJ Melendez to pop out to end the 6th. Then on top of the 7th, the Orioles were able to get another run on the board after Hayes had a single. Mateo doubled, moving Hayes over to third, and then a pass ball with Gunnar Henderson at the plate allowed Hayes to score, and it was 8-3 Orioles.
Yeah, Hayes is starting to look human again. Even in the 2nd inning, he had the first out in the inning of that big 7-run inning, and that was a nice hit to right field that I think it was Renfroe made a nice play on. There was an article from the Banner this week that Austin Hayes had lost 10 pounds due to some illness in spring training.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have been contributing to his woeful start.
Oh, I'm sure it did, and I think Hayes is the type of guy. I think most of the Orioles are the type of guy who are not going to say anything about it, not using it as an excuse. You know what I mean?
Right. So Hayes went to third. He would score. You got to this on the Perez pass ball, 8-3 Orioles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bottom 7, Coulomb started the inning, then Ramirez came on.
Yeah, with 1 base runner and 1 out, and I feel like Yohan Ramirez was hiding his true self from the Orioles, like when you get in a new relationship with somebody. And then he came in here, and it was hit by pitch, wild pitch, walk, and a single. The only thing that saved this inning from total disaster was Cowser nailing Isbell on a throw to third base.
Yeah, you don't get many runners at third. That was kind of a bonus out for the O's, but all I could think of with Ramirez was that was just like a classic Fujinami appearance from last year. Like 3 horrible pitches, a walk, and a single allowed. That just gave me PTSD.
Yeah, I'd have to say his, like, I don't know. I thought he was going to stick around for a while, and now that might be a surprise.
I mean, his numbers when they picked him up were pretty brutal, and I don't think a lot of people expected much, but this outing especially was just ridiculous.
I just keep waiting for the floor to fall out on Bauman, but if performances like this from Ramirez are going to be the competition, then Bauman's job is safer than we all think it is.
True. I mean, I guess Bauman's never that bad within like a 5-3 batter span, but yeah, the bottom line is they need improvements. I think we'd all agree.
Bauman can at least throw it over the plate, but that's also like half the problem with Bauman is it's just right over the middle of the plate.
Right.
But Cano would come in, 2 outs, Witt infield single. Pasquantino would draw a walk, so it's bases loaded now for Perez. He'd single, driving 2 more. Now it's 8-7 Orioles, and they're just clinging to this lead. The 5 RBI for Perez tie a career high.
Yeah, he had a great game, and at this point, it's just like, how in the world are the O's up by a run when they were up 7-0 with Corbin Burns starting? It's just, as I said earlier, it's just pretty unexpected for both teams, I think.
Yeah, at the top of the 8th, the Orioles would add an insurance run on back-to-back doubles by Mountcastle and Santander, and they would hang on to win a 9-7 final.
And this was extremely ugly, but the O's did get the victory. It was kind of funny how at the very end of the game, the last out by Craig Kimbrel was a fly out to Cowser in left field, who promptly launched the ball over his head into the fountains, and then realized later, like, um, that was probably a big save for Kimbrel because he's climbing up the all-time list. And turns out it was. So he went back and got the ball that he had thrown backwards over his head after he caught that last out.
Yeah, how did they prove it went into the fountain? I guess just witnesses.
Well, it definitely went into the fountain on TV, but I guess Cowser went up and said he saw 2 balls in there, and one of them was clearly way older than the other, like more beat up and faded. So I guess in theory, Kimbrel has that ball, but I guess we're not totally sure.
Yeah, that was Kimbrel's 422nd career save, 7th all time, tying Billy Wagner. Next up is John Franco at 424, so he might get that by the end of the week.
Yeah.
And the problem is at 425 is Kenley Jansen, who is still pitching, so that'll be interesting to see where they finish up.
True.
And Kimbrel can also catch former Oriole Francisco Rodriguez for 4th all time at 437. That's 15 away. That's definitely within reach this season.
Oh, yeah. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get 15 more. That means he probably got hurt, I would guess.
Yeah, or Felix came back.
There you go.
So that brings us to Sunday. That's today. Cole Irvin versus Seth Lugo.
Yeah, how many people saw the final score of this game without watching it and were like, "Oh yeah, that sounds about right for Cole Irvin, 5-0."
Swerving Cole Irvin. Yeah, Orioles ended this game early, top of the third, when Cowser and Westberg went back to back. That put them up 2-0. Kevin Brown had noted that their home runs were combined 863 feet.
Yeah, Cowser's especially. That was deep. And I might be wrong, and I haven't looked online at all, so maybe a million people noticed this, but it looked like Zach Campbell was out there running for the ball and then saw that it went into the fountain, was just like kind of put his arms up like, "Oh no." It looked like him. I'm not sure if it was, but yeah, take a look at the replay of the Cowser home run, and there's a guy wearing like a black hat and a black coat who runs in from the side, and I think that was him. But anyways, after those 2 runs in the top of the third, the Orioles added 2 more in the top of the 6th when Mountcastle doubled to score Santander, who had tripled before that. And then Jordan Westberg walked, driving in Mountcastle with the bases loaded, and the O's were up 4-0 after 6. Or I should say after 5.5.
Holliday and Henderson would both strike out looking with the bases loaded. Holliday is now 1 for 30 with 16 strikeouts and 2 walks. His batting average is down to 0.33. I'm not concerning myself with Holliday until after May 1st. Like, where are you at with this developing crisis?
I'm not concerned with Holliday for the future.
Right.
I guess I don't see why. I don't see Mateo or Arias doing worse than Holliday has at this point. So if I'm Brandon Hyde, I feel like I have a difficult decision to make. Because you do have this young prospect. He's been called up. You're not just going to call him up to bench him. But when he's doing so poorly at the plate, it's not like he's incredible in the field. He's not bad at all, but he's not adding so much value defensively that you have to bat him. You know what I mean? What are your
I,
thoughts?
I am shocked at how poorly he's looking at the plate. I would have never guessed that. I didn't think he'd come up and kill it just because he is 20, and that's always been a concern for me. But I didn't think he'd look like a pitcher either. um, yeah, I don't know. I was surprised he got called up by May 1st. They're winning. They don't really need him. He's kind of like a bonus at this point. I'm a Connor Norby guy. I'd like to see Connor Norby play, but he isn't playing second base at all for Norfolk this season. They keep playing him in right field and left field. So I don't even know if they view him as a second baseman at this point. Or can you not play all season and then just show up in the major leagues and start playing second base? Like, that doesn't sound fair either.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just thinking we saw how good Jorge Mateo was at the beginning of last year. We know he's not a second baseman by trade, but he's not hitting 033 in like 10 games or something. You know what I
Well, it
mean?
is April. Come May 1st, Mateo might start
Right.
hitting
So
33.
so get him in while you can. I don't know. I don't envy the people who have to make this decision, but now that Holiday's up, you can't not play him. But yeah, they got to do something because he's just not producing.
Yeah, that's why I say May 1st. Then sit down and have a meeting with with your brain trust, and even then, like, the leash is long in my eyes. Just, you called him up, like, you did this to yourself. I've said it 20 times now. He was the last guy they should have wanted on the 40-man roster, because if he struggled like this, he's stuck there
Right.
all year.
Yeah, but he's also not stuck in the majors, and
Right.
it's very common for guys to go back down, as we've discussed with guys like Kauser and Grayson, and you come up and you struggle a little, you go back down and recalibrate and come back up and hopefully do much better. And yeah, would it be a little hit to his ego? Of course, but when you're a team that's hoping to make the playoffs and contend, you can't have a second baseman who's or anybody at any position, even your catcher, who's historically the worst, you know, hitting position on the field. You can't have any position not producing.
Yeah, with the 40-man spot, like, what this could logjam down the line is them throwing a waiver claim dart on a relief pitcher who might pay off. Like, Ramirez hasn't paid off yet, but Coulomb has paid off in the past. Webb has paid off in the past. That's kind of how you get relief pitchers now. Sometimes is through waiver claim dart. Levon Soto might not be able to come back now because Jackson Holliday's on the 40.
Damn it.
But yeah, this is tough. Like you said, this is not an enviable decision to have to make.
No,
Because
I
right
mean,
now it looks like they made the wrong one.
right. Yeah, I do you what are your thoughts on his future? Do you think this has any impact, or does this tell you anything about what he will be?
No, not really. Like, if say he flamed out and he just has, I'm trying to think of a first rounder who flamed out, number one overall. I can't think of any on the top of my
Billy
head. Like,
Roll. He wasn't first overall, but he was an
yeah,
O's
like
guy.
Joey Bart. If he has like the Joey Bart path, like, I would be totally stunned. I didn't get to see a lot of Holiday at Norfolk though either, but from what I did see, he looked awesome. Um, yeah, I wouldn't have expected this, because we set the bar last week at 2023 Adam Frazier.
True.
You know what I mean? He's not even close to that.
No, he's also another thing to consider too is that there are phenoms like Bryce Harper, but a lot of first overall picks are college kids who are 2-3 years older than Holiday when he was drafted. So like in theory, Holiday could be what he would be like a sophomore this year
Yeah, yeah,
in college if he went that route. So yeah, he's still super young, and maybe he wasn't ready to be in the majors. But
yeah.
that's easy to say in hindsight.
Well, neither of us were really that jacked about him being on the roster. Like, I had said 0%. you were kind of like, if it happens, it happens. Like neither of us were begging for this, and I think this is why.
Right.
Some of us are just smarter than others.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's it for the game recap. I did give. Do you have anything else on Holiday?
No, nothing on him.
Yeah. I did give out 3 stars. The second and third star I gave to the 5 through 8 hitters, which were Mountie, Mullins, Westberg, and Kauser. They were combined 7 for 14, 3 runs scored, 4 RBI, and 2 walks. The number 1 star I gave to Cole Irvin, 6 2/3, 4 hits, no earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. This was his first win since June 10th of 2023.
Nice. This, I guess, the hope is he has shown some glimpse into the near future with this performance, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah,
It
especially
was
with the
great to see it
knees.
happen once, but it'd be cool if it happens more than that.
That's true. We've been waiting for this since last April, and we finally got the Cole Irvin the Athletics had promised us.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he only struck out 2 guys, but he only allowed 4 hits and 6 2/3. Like, that is the Cole Irvin that he was.
His 93 pitches were the second most as an Oriole.
Yeah. What's like I said, when I saw that it was 5-0, I was like, wait, who was pitching today? Like, I thought it was Irvin. Like, I had to double check the box score.
And this was the first time the Royals have been shut out this season, which is pretty good for them. Like last year, they were a dumpster fire.
Right.
So, you want to cover the Dong Notice League?
Yeah, let's take a look. So, for those who didn't hear, when we did a brief draft, we'll call it, Billy and I are doing a season-long competition in which we have 8 players on our team, 4 Orioles, and then, 10 players, right? 4 Orioles, and then 6 players from one from each division, including a non-Oriole for the AL East. Right now, as of April 21st, Team Billy has 36 home runs and Team Ryan has 31. So you've got a solid lead on me right now.
Yeah, my stars so far are Aaron Judge has 3. He had a disastrous game. I think it was last night. He was like 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts or something like that, or 1 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. Louis Robert, he's got 2. I think he's hurt. Yeah, he's on the injured list. So both of us are down a player. You're down Kerstad, and I'm down Robert. Schwarber, Odolis Garcia each have 5. Mookie Betts has 6. Westberg has 4. Santander has 4. Adley has 2. Arenado has 1. And Ryan O'Hearn has 4.
Yeah, I'll tell you my big weak spots. Definitely Spencer Torkelson with a grand total of 0 home runs so far. I don't know how that has happened.
Yeah, I have him in a dynasty league.
I've got Paul Goldschmidt with 1. He might be washed. And then Heston Kjerstad, he's still in the minors, so he has 0, but he'll hit some dongs when he comes up eventually.
Yeah, he's got like 10 already in Norfolk.
Man, we need some of those at the major league level. And then speaking of standings, the Orioles right now are 14-7 and currently sit a half game behind the Yankees in the AL East. So things are going pretty well so far.
Yeah, no complaints. We were a little angsty at 5-4, but since then they're what was that 9-3?
10-3.
Yeah, 9-3, 10-3.
Yeah.
The only real questions are Holiday and the bullpen and the Bradish and Means injuries.
Yeah. I mean, this is still a decent amount of questions. But, every team has them.
Yeah. So, who we got coming up this week?
So the Orioles continue their weird schedule with a visit to the Angels, despite playing them just a few weeks ago, as they just did with the Royals. And then instead of, I guess this is we talked about this before. So this whole road trip consists of 3 in Kansas City, 3 in the Angels. Then they go all the way back to Baltimore, and they're going to be hosting Oakland. So this huge road trip out west for essentially 3 games. Like last year, we talked about Gunnar tweaking his back when they went out to play the Giants for 3 whole games, and that was it on the West Coast. Then they flew back to Milwaukee, which I guess would be the equivalent of Kansas City here, and then back home. So I don't get it, but it's not my job to make the schedule.
Yeah,
And no one
and
cares what I think.
Oakland's not the free pass we thought they were going to be either.
Right, but it's also at home versus Oakland. You think they just like play out there? Well, they have to go out there again later this year.
And before this week's Quiz Torres, I just wanted to give a shout out to Howie Schwab of Stump the Schwab. Did you ever watch Stump the
Oh,
Schwab?
yes, I loved that show.
Yeah, he passed away this week. Mike Smeltz wrote this about him in The Athletic. Quote, "There are times today when you watch sports TV talking heads and wonder if they even like the sports that they're talking about. Schwab represented a joyfulness and pure love of sports that is more connected to the everyday fan." I just thought that was perfect.
Yeah, I really dug that show. Have I ever told you I technically qualified to be on Sports Jeopardy when that was a thing?
Did you? I tried.
Yeah, so it was on TV for a while, and then it became like an internet only show. And I think this was in the internet days. But I did the test, and they emailed me like, "Hey, you qualified to be on the show." Blah blah blah. And basically, the whole premise was I had to pay my own way, go to LA, and there's no guarantee you're even going to get on the show. I was in grad school at the time, like I wasn't working, I had no money, and I was just like, no, I'm not doing that. In hindsight, I
What?
totally should have just like gotten a loan from my parents or something just to do it and say I did it. Like this is something I wish I had done, but I was just like, no, I can't afford to go out there if I have nothing paid for and no guarantee that I'll even be on it. Like I could just be paying my own way to sit there all day.
So I was watching Sports Jeopardy. I saw the thing where they were offering the test, and I'm thinking like, how am I going to tell my job I need some time off to go film Sports Jeopardy? And I log on to their test, and the thing was so fast, like the countdown or whatever, and it just snowballed where I was like 0 for 3 before I even like read any of the options of the first 4 possible answers to the first question. I
Uh,
was like, I can't believe I was thinking like, how am I going to tell my job when I didn't even like make it out? It was like a Jackson Holliday debut. Was my Sports Jeopardy test.
yeah. Well, I mean, you and I made it just as far, so.
I do have a story though. I went to high school with the guy who won the first season of Pros vs. Joes.
Oh, I
You,
remember that show.
yeah, Charlie Brenneman. He ended up taking the money he won from it and invested in himself to be like a UFC fighter, but he didn't fight for UFC. One of the lower UFC brands. He had some fights. I don't, I don't know what he did, but after high school, he went to be a teacher. Tried out for Pros vs. Joes and won.
Nice. And then became a UFC fighter or
Yeah,
an
some
MMA fighter.
yeah, some kind of MMA fighter. But yeah,
Nice.
R.I.P. Howie Schwab. That's how we got there.
Right.
This week's quiz Torres. I realize I can just send you the link so you can see the quiz as we're taking it. So I'll
Okay.
do that now. Because last time I was trying to read it and the page was jumping all over, and you basically had to rely on me. We don't have to do that.
You're
All
usually
right, here it comes.
reliable.
Did they win National League Rookie of the Year? So we'll
Oh,
click on that. Can you correctly guess whether the given baseball player won the NL award for Rookie of the Year? This is 20 questions, and we got 5 minutes on the clock.
all right.
All right, so I'll press play. I guess mine will be the official one. Oh, and also we can alternate. So that'll last week we lost track of who was odd or even.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so we'll just alternate here. I'll go first, so I'll be odd.
All right.
All right. Outfielder, third baseman, Miguel Cabrera. Man, I don't know. I remember he came up with the Marlins when they won the World Series in '03, but he came up super late. So did he win it in '04?
I
You
don't
got a
know.
guess? I'm going to
I
say
mean, my guess would be
yes.
yes, just because he's Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah. Oh, the answer is no.
Damn it.
Next up is Andre Dawson.
Um, no idea. I'm gonna say no.
All right. Oh, no, he was.
Damn it.
Outfielder Matt Holliday.
Did he
He
start in
was
the NL? Oh yeah, he was in the
with the
Rockies.
Rockies. I just heard him tell his call up story on Adam Jones's podcast this week. I don't remember him saying he won Rookie of the Year. I'm going to say no.
That works.
I think it was '04 or '05. Oh, that's correct. Pitcher Max Scherzer. No way.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
Pitchers don't win Rookie
He
of the
got
Year too
traded.
often.
He probably wasn't the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he would have been on the Diamondbacks then.
Right.
That's correct. No is correct. Second baseman, third baseman, Greg Jeffries. I do know me and him share a birthday.
He was super hyped. I know that.
Yeah, he was pretty good. We got Mets TV at that time for some reason in Pennsylvania. I'm going to say no. That's correct. Pitcher Dwight Gooden. That's a yes.
Yeah.
All right, we got 3 minutes and 25 seconds left. Catcher Mike Piazza. That's a yes.
Yes. Wait.
That's
Did he?
too late. It's a yes.
Okay.
Zach Greinke.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say no. No, because he
NL?
had
Wasn't he a Royal early on?
yeah, good. Yeah, that's good thinking. That's correct. Third baseman Chipper Jones. Yes, a yes.
Sounds like it.
He was a number 1 overall pick. Oh no. Outfielder Tony Gwynn.
No.
I'm thinking yes.
Go for it. I trust you more than myself.
Oh nope, you were right. It's a no. Pitcher Kerry Wood. That's a yes.
Didn't he strike out 20 in his rookie year?
Yeah.
Sounds like that would have gotten him it.
Yep, that's correct. Third baseman Chris Bryant. That's a yes.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Outfielder Bryce Harper.
I don't know. He was so young.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
Sure, let's say no.
Oh no, he did. 2 minutes, 10 seconds left. Ozzie Smith.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. That's correct. Barry Bonds. I
He
should
could
know that
have.
one. I don't think he did. I remember he had like 233 in his rookie year, I think. And the Pirates were really bad. I'm going to say no.
All right.
That's correct. First baseman Ryan Howard.
Yes.
Correct. Juan Soto.
Don't
So
know.
young. He came up late. I'm going to say. I want to say no, but I think the answer is yes.
Go for your gut.
I'll say no. That's correct. All right. We got some time here. There's 3 left. 70 seconds left. First baseman Albert Pujols.
Yes.
Yep. Pitcher Mark Pryor.
Ooh.
I know.
To me, he's like Kerry Wood. It's like Kerry Wood won it. Pryor won it too. But I don't know.
I'm going to say no. You have
Sure.
a final answer?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, no. Oh, that's correct. Last one, Tom Seaver. I have no idea.
God, I have no idea.
Let's just say yes.
Sure. That's
correct.
All right.
15 out of 20, 75% right, with 36 seconds to spare.
Man, that's one thing I'm not good at remembering is who wins awards and like what years.
I used to know so much more, but like my brain is literally jumbled now. Like getting older, like you hear it when you're a kid, like, oh, you forget stuff. It's so true.
I don't think I've ever really kept track of who wins the Rookie of the Year awards. I don't know.
Like I haven't.
To me, it's not that big of a deal because you go back and look 20 years ago, like some of the winners didn't end up doing really much of anything. So it's like, who cares?
Yeah, I have entire years just totally erased from my brain at this point. It's odd.
Yeah. And then the Piazza one, I was like thinking back because the Dodgers won like 3 or 4 in a row in the 90s.
Yeah,
I think it was
Mondesi, I
Piazza,
think.
Mondesi, Hollinsworth, and Nomo.
Caros.
Maybe
Ooh, him
Caros.
too.
Here, let's look it up.
Yeah, we'll end on this. Um, T-shirts at birdlandsports.com, and we'll find out what the Dodgers Rookie of the Year was, and we'll get out of here.
Let's see. Dodgers had consecutively Caros, Piazza, Mondesi, Nomo, Hollinsworth. Is that 5 in a row?
That's insane.
You would think the Dodgers won like 4 World Series after that, and they didn't.
That shows you, like, as Orioles fans in this rebuild, we keep hearing things like they're going to be a juggernaut for 10 years. You
Right.
know, like that shows you it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
5 Rookie of the Year, they have shit to show for it.
Yeah. No, it's very true.
All right, so
Leaving you all on a high note. The O's might
yeah.
suck.
All right, yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yep. Take care.